folks, it's Jason here with TheMuscleProgram.com, and I want to share with you what I call my lean muscle chicken and potatoes meal. That's a long name, so we may call it something else, but anyway, let's get to the ingredients of the meal. Alright, first and the most obvious ingredient is the chicken, and this is just boneless, skinless chicken breast. You can buy whatever, whatever they have at Publix or wherever you shop at. I like this brand, Purdue. I like them because they come individually wrapped. So to me it's easier to keep them frozen than just to thaw out one or two at a time. I have a carrot. No, I'm not a wabbit. Got a carrot. I've got some red potatoes here. I should have specified that earlier, that it's red potatoes, not regular potatoes. And we've got some olive oil. That's going to be to cook the chicken with. And I've got some seasonings here. I've got some seasoned salt here. If you want something with less sodium, use something like Miss Dash. If you're really watching your sodium intake. I've got some black pepper. That pretty much goes good on anything. I've also got some Crayola seasoning for the chicken. Again, you can use whatever seasoning you want to. Alright, so the first thing I do here is I go ahead and fill up the pan with water. And this is actually to boil the red potatoes and the carrots. So I'll go ahead and put this on, and I'll also go ahead and pour in a little bit of olive oil here in the pan that I'm going to cook the chicken. It's probably good there. Alright, so we've got the pot of water heating up. I want that to come to a boil, and we've got the olive oil in the pan here for the chicken. So the next thing I do, put that aside, is I go ahead and cut up my potatoes and my carrot. This meal is really just kind of a one serving meal, and you can have more or less depending on what you want your calorie intake to be. So anyway, let's cut up the potatoes. We're on the cutting edge. Bad knife pun. So the water's not quite boiling yet, but since we've got everything cut up, I'll go ahead and put it in the pot here. One thing I didn't mention, make sure you wash your carrot and potatoes first. That should be a no-brainer, but hey, just in case. Now some folks like to put the seasoning in the water while it's boiling, and you can do that if you want, but I'll just throw it on after. So got that set. It's not quite boiling yet. Got the potatoes and carrots done, so also our pan with the olive oil is heating up. It's probably good and ready now, so we'll go ahead and cut up the chicken real quick. Let's get to that. Alright, now let's cut up the chicken. Now I do put a little seasoning on the chicken first. Like I'm using this Crayola seasoning, and this does probably a little higher. Actually, sodium's not too bad. Sure does make it taste good though. So I dash a little Crayola seasoning on here. Don't put too much. And then I put a little black pepper on top here. And again, you can use, whatever seasoning you want. Like I said earlier, things like Miss Dash have no sodium in it, or little sodium. And what I'll do is I'll just kind of turn it over here. I want to get the seasoning on both sides. And normally you would just throw this in the pan and start cooking it. However, I'm not a big fan of chicken. So what I do, and what I found that tastes better for me, our potatoes and carrots boiling here. Cut that down a little. What I find is better for me is if I cut it into thin slices. It doesn't have to be too thin. But you can probably see that, how thin it is here. Just little thin strips. I'll cut these up. And to me, it helps, it changes the texture of the chicken a little when you cook it, and to me it just helps the taste of it. Like I said, I've never been a huge fan of chicken, and I've been trying to find ways to cook it. I've baked it, I've grilled it. So we'll go ahead and throw this on the pan now. Alright, and as you can see here, the water's boiling for my potatoes and my one carrot that I chopped up here. I don't leave it on high the whole time. I'll turn it down to about 7, so it's not I don't want a roaring boil because it'll go everywhere. I could have used a bigger pot here, but I didn't. So I set my timer. Let's see, 10 to 12 minutes is good. I cut my potatoes kind of thin and smaller chunks, so I'm going to go ahead with 10 minutes. And it's been boiling for a little bit here anyway. And our pan for the chicken with the olive oil is heated up. So as you can hear it, nice sound, huh? We'll throw our chicken on. And I'll let the chicken cook. You know, I'll turn it over here and there, and I'll just kind of watch it. But I'll let this whole thing cook for about 10 or 12 minutes. Looks like we're about done here, so we'll turn everything off. One thing I do before I finish with the potatoes and carrots, I'll stick a fork and make sure they're tender. I like my potatoes and carrots tender. Not a fan of crunchy stuff. So they're done. I've turned everything off here. I'll go ahead and put my chicken on the plate. And the thing about this chicken, cooking it in olive oil and just a little bit of seasoning, you don't really need anything else on it. To me, the olive oil just soaks in and seasons it really, really well. I think the biggest gripe for me and probably a lot of people with chicken is when you cook a lot of it and then you have to reheat it later. It's kind of tough. It doesn't taste as good. But right off the stove, tastes pretty good. So that's ready. And we'll take the carrots and potatoes off here. Gotta drain the water out. We'll throw those on the plate. Now for the potatoes and carrots, or carrot I should say, I do throw a little bit of seasoning on it. Like I said, I've got some all-season salt. Again, use mustache or don't put anything on it at all. You know, if you don't want the sodium. I like just a little seasoning on mine. And I'll throw a little black pepper on there too. And guys, that's it. That is a very simple and quick. As you can see, we probably had about, I don't know, about 3 to 5 minutes of preparation and 10 to 12 minutes of actual cooking. So here's your meal. It's just some chicken breast, some red potatoes, and carrots. Pretty nutritious, pretty healthy. I would say I've got about 40 grams of protein here, probably between, I don't know, 40-50 grams of carbohydrates from the potatoes, maybe a little less than that. And there's hardly no fat here at all. So this is a very healthy, what I like to call lean muscle building meal. So I'm going to go ahead and dig in. That's good. Thank you for watching, and try this meal out at home and tell me what you think about it. I shouldn't talk with my mouth full. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.